Have you ever felt like the world has you on a leash, pulling you in every direction with each harsh word, every cold shoulder, or every unexpected setback? It's as if your emotions are no longer in your control, constantly shaped by forces outside of you. One moment, you smile, but the world responds with a frown. You break and no one even notices. We've all been there. Whether it's the sting of cruel words, the weight of relentless expectations, or the pressure of modern life, it's easy to feel overwhelmed, like you're being dragged through life. You try to keep your balance, but every step forward seems to be met with an unseen hand pulling you back. But what if it didn't have to be this way? What if there was a way to live where nothing and no one could disturb your peace again? Picture the freedom of walking through life unshaken, no matter what comes your way. Imagine standing firm, calm, and steady while the chaos of the world swirls around you. How would it feel to experience that kind of inner peace? In this video, we'll show you how to cultivate that emotional resilience. The kind of mindset where outside forces no longer dictate your mood or disrupt your tranquility. To do so, we'll turn to the profound wisdom of Buddhist teachings, exploring the power of detachment, acceptance, and the true meaning of freedom. This isn't about becoming cold or detached from life. It's about becoming untouchable. Not by building walls around your heart, but by releasing what no longer serves you. By the end of this video, you'll discover how to create emotional freedom through these timeless Buddhist principles and how to apply them to your daily life. Stay with me, because what's coming next isn't just another quick fix or feel-good advice. The lesson ahead has the power to change how you experience life itself. You won't want to miss it. 1. Why you should stop caring about everything. Have you ever woken up feeling mentally drained, even though your body feels fully rested? This isn't the kind of exhaustion that can be soothed by a good night's sleep. It's emotional fatigue, a deep, heavy weariness that settles within, gnawing at your peace. You feel it in the quiet moments when your mind races uncontrollably, when the weight of expectations drags you down, and when you feel overwhelmed by the constant pressure to measure up. It's like carrying invisible ropes, each one tugging you in a different direction, pulling you away from your center. With every tug, you feel more exhausted, more disconnected, and more uncertain. Here's the truth. We care too much about things that don't really matter. We pour our energy into seeking approval, into meeting expectations, into fitting into molds that were never meant for us. We waste our precious time on fleeting opinions, temporary trends, and outcomes that offer no lasting satisfaction. And yet, Buddhist wisdom tells us that attachment to these external factors is the root cause of suffering. The more we tie ourselves to what others think or to outcomes beyond our control, the more we open ourselves to emotional pain. Imagine this. You stand in the middle of a violent storm, the wind howling, the rain beating down. Each cruel word, each judgment, each look thrown at you is like a stone hurled into your mind. With every stone, your peace is disturbed. The calm waters of your soul are shattered, sending ripples of confusion and doubt. Now imagine that instead of reaching for each stone, you let it fall. You don't chase after it. You don't fight it. You simply let it pass. You watch it fall without reacting. This is detachment, not distancing yourself from life, but from the things that don't serve you. It's about letting go of what doesn't deserve your energy and choosing peace instead. The Buddhist solution to emotional freedom starts with releasing unnecessary concerns. Ask yourself this simple question: does this deserve my energy? Does it serve my peace and growth? If the answer is no, then let it go. True peace doesn't come from having nothing to care about. It comes from caring only about the things that align with your deepest values, those that nurture your soul, those that help you grow, those that bring true peace. We live in a world that's constantly demanding our attention. We're bombarded by opinions, judgments, expectations, and distractions. Social media, trends, the desire for approval, they all compete for our energy. But the key to emotional freedom is not shutting out the world. It's about learning to filter out the noise, to let go of what doesn't matter, and to focus on what truly nourishes you. When you stop caring about the things that drain your energy, you make space for what truly matters. You make room for peace, for your authentic self, for the things that bring fulfillment. This isn't about abandoning life or shutting yourself off from the world. It's about choosing to care only about the things that align with your true path, your deeper purpose. The more you let go of the distractions, the more you create space for what nurtures your soul. It's not about shutting everything out, but about shifting your focus from what you can't control to what you can. When you stop chasing after validation and approval, you begin to reconnect with your authentic self. You stop being at the mercy of others' judgments, and you find the freedom to choose what matters. Letting go of the things that don't serve you is the first step toward reclaiming your emotional freedom. When you release unnecessary burdens, you allow yourself to breathe, to return to your center. You make room for peace to settle in. You make room for clarity and purpose to fill the space that once held anxiety and doubt. The peace you seek is already within you. It's simply waiting for you to stop caring about the things that keep you from it. 2. The illusion of control, chasing clouds with chains. Have you ever woken up feeling mentally drained, even though your body is fully rested? This isn't the kind of exhaustion that sleep can fix. It's deeper. It's the weariness of the soul, a heaviness that lingers long after your body has had its rest. It's the fatigue that comes from endlessly overthinking, trying to please everyone, and worrying about every word, every move, every choice you make. It feels like carrying invisible ropes, each one pulling you in a different direction. You feel tugged in so many ways that you start to lose yourself in the process. Exhausted, overwhelmed, and uncertain of who you are or where you're headed. Here's the uncomfortable truth. We care too much about things that don't truly matter. We pour our energy into things that don't bring us peace, that don't nourish our hearts. We worry about the opinions of others, the fleeting trends, and the weight of unrealistic expectations. We live in a constant cycle of striving for approval, constantly trying to measure up, believing that if we just work a little harder, control a little more, everything will fall into place. But the more we try to control, the more elusive peace becomes. The more we chase perfection, the more we slip into frustration and exhaustion. Buddhism teaches us that control is an illusion. Life isn't a problem to be solved, nor is it a script to be written and perfected at will. Life is a river, ever-changing, always moving, and full of unknowns. We can try to swim against the current, but no matter how hard we fight, we only exhaust ourselves. The more we resist life's flow, the more we suffer. Now think of a farmer planting seeds in the soil. The farmer doesn't demand that the crops grow faster or shout at the earth to hurry up. No, he nurtures the seeds, gives them the right conditions, sunlight, water, care, and then steps back. He trusts the process, trusting that nature will unfold in its own time. The farmer doesn't control the earth, he works in harmony with it. Just as the farmer trusts the earth, we must learn to trust the flow of life. We can do our best, plant the seeds, take thoughtful action, but we must also release the need to control how things unfold. Trying to control every outcome is like holding tightly to a handful of sand. The more you try to hold on, the more it slips through your fingers. But when you let go, you realize there's enough space for things to grow, naturally in their own time. The Buddhist solution is not to give up or to withdraw, but to accept the flow of life. We must learn to go with the current, not fight it. You can still take action, still plan, still put in effort. But instead of gripping onto the result, detach from it. trust that things will unfold as they are meant to, even when you can't control how or when. True peace doesn't come from forcing outcomes. It comes from letting go of the need to dictate every detail. The secret lies in acceptance, in accepting that life is unpredictable, that it will twist and turn in ways we don't expect. The more we try to control the flow, the more we create resistance. And with resistance comes pain. But when we stop resisting and let life be what it is, we create the space for freedom. When you let go of the illusion of control, you open yourself up to clarity and freedom. Let go of the need to force things, and you'll find peace in surrendering to the present moment. Peace is not about getting everything right. It's about finding stillness within the chaos. When you stop clinging to the future, you start living in the now. You stop measuring your worth by the outcome and begin embracing the journey itself. Imagine how much lighter you would feel if you let go of the burden of control. Picture yourself flowing with life rather than fighting against it. You might not know exactly where the current will take you, but the freedom you'll feel as you stop fighting it is a peace unlike any other. Let life unfold as it will, and trust that everything you need will be provided in its own time. Let go of the illusion that you can control everything, and watch how life becomes a beautiful, effortless flow. With each moment, with each step, you free yourself from the constant pressure to perform and fix. Surrendering control doesn't mean giving up. It means choosing to live without fear of what might happen, trusting that all is unfolding as it should. When you stop clinging to the idea of control, you open your heart to the peace that's always been within you. When you stop chasing the clouds, you realize the sky was always clear. 3. How society programs you to care. As children, we were naturally curious, unburdened by the opinions of others, and fully present in the moment. We didn't chase validation or approval. We simply were. We asked questions, explored the world around us, and laughed without inhibition. At that time, our sense of self was pure, unwritten and unshaped by the expectations of the world. But somewhere along the journey, society handed us a mirror and told us, "This is who you are." And from that moment, we began to look at ourselves through that mirror, reflecting the images and standards placed upon us. We started chasing approval, success, and status, believing that our worth depended entirely on how others saw us. Here's the hard truth. Society programs us to care about things that don't belong to us. The ideals we strive for, the perfect body, the perfect career, the relentless pursuit of social media followers, are all constructs designed by others. They are not born from our authentic desires, but from external pressures. The more we chase after these constructs, the further we drift away from our true selves. We become so entangled in the image of what society says we should be that we forget to ask, who am I really? Let me paint you a picture. Picture a woman who has spent years chasing the version of success society told her to pursue. She worked long hours, earned a high salary, built a picture-perfect family, and amassed hundreds of followers on social media. From the outside, it looked like she had it all. Yet despite all of this, she felt empty, disconnected from herself. She had been so consumed with fulfilling other people's expectations that she forgot to check in with her own soul. One day, in the quiet of her mind, she stopped. She paused and asked herself, "What am I truly living for?" That moment was the turning point, the beginning of her journey back to her authentic self. And the truth is, this woman's story is not unlike our own. Most of us, at some point, have become so consumed with fulfilling society's expectations that we forget to ask, what do I really want? What am I here for? This is where Buddhism steps in, offering us a chance to break free from this cycle of external validation. Buddhism invites us to disconnect from the world's expectations and reconnect with the truest version of ourselves. The first step in this journey is to ask yourself, what am I chasing that I never questioned? When you begin to peel back the layers of what you've been taught to want, you realize that much of what you care about was never really yours to begin with. When you step back and acknowledge this, you start the process of reclaiming your true self, the one unmarked by society's ideals. Buddhist teachings encourage us to return to the authentic essence of who we are, unshackled by the projections of the world. We've all been given a script to follow, but that script wasn't written by us. It was written by others, by societal pressures, by trends, by outdated norms that don't serve us. The challenge is to stop performing for the world and instead start living for ourselves. True freedom comes when we stop acting in order to meet the expectations of others. Living for yourself means not just rejecting what doesn't resonate with your true self, but also fully embracing what does. It means shedding the heavy burden of trying to please everyone else and instead focusing on your own path. When we stop chasing the world's approval, we reclaim our power. We stop being puppets to external validation, and instead we move toward our own inner peace. That peace isn't found in applause or likes, but in aligning with our authentic self. The more we do this, the more we feel centered and grounded in our own truth. So I challenge you to ask yourself, what am I chasing that I never questioned? What goals, what dreams have you been striving towards simply because someone else said they were important? Maybe it's a career that doesn't fulfill you, a body image that doesn't reflect who you are, or a social media presence that has little to do with your genuine self. When you recognize that so much of what you've been pursuing doesn't belong to you, you'll find the space to reconnect with your true desires, the ones that are woven into the very fabric of your being. True freedom begins when you stop performing and start living. When you stop seeking external validation, you begin to tap into your authentic self. That is where peace resides, deep inside you, waiting for you to return to it. Let go of the mask you've been wearing. The moment you step into your truth, you'll find that everything you've been chasing outside of yourself was never worth the chase. 4. The art of detachment. We've all been told to hold on to what we love, to fight for what we want, and to never let go. From a young age, we're conditioned to believe that the more we hold on to something, the more it shows how much we care. The more we fight for it, the more we prove its worth. But what if I told you that holding on too tightly is actually the root of much of our suffering? What if letting go, not clinging, is what truly sets us free? Imagine holding a rose so tightly that its thorns pierce your skin. With every tighter grip, the pain grows sharper. The more you hold on, the more you hurt yourself. Now picture this. You relax your grip, gently open your hand, and let the rose rest softly in your palm. You're still holding it, but now it no longer causes pain. It's still yours to admire, but it no longer controls you or hurts you. This is detachment. Detachment doesn't mean rejecting what we love. It means experiencing life fully without clinging to it. When we hold on too tightly to anything, whether it's a person, a goal, or a material possession, we're not allowing life to flow naturally. We're not respecting the flow of nature, of our own heart, and in turn we create tension. We create suffering. Take the story of a man who clung to a relationship far beyond its expiration date. Fear kept him there. The fear of the unknown, the fear of being alone, the fear of change. He couldn't let go, despite the pain. The relationship had lost its spark, but he was still hanging on to the memory of what it used to be. He thought holding on was a sign of strength, a sign of commitment. But in reality, the more he gripped, the more he hurt. Then one day, after much struggle, he realized that letting go wasn't abandoning something important. It was choosing peace. It was about stepping out of the cycle of pain and allowing himself the freedom to heal. He finally let go, and in that space of release, he found clarity and the freedom to move forward. It wasn't about giving up. It was about reclaiming his peace, about respecting his own heart enough to let go of what no longer served him. This is the heart of detachment in Buddhist philosophy. Detachment doesn't mean we stop caring about things that matter to us. It doesn't mean we withdraw from life. It means we stop holding on so tightly to things that we believe define us. Our relationships, our successes, our possessions. When we cling to anything, we forget the truth. We are not defined by what we hold. We are defined by how we hold it, how we allow it to flow through us without gripping it so tightly that we suffocate ourselves. Consider the way we hold on to our identities, whether it's our job, our status, or our image. We build our sense of self around these things, thinking they give us meaning. But the more we cling, the more we lose touch with who we truly are. The more we hold on to what's external, the further we drift from our inner peace. Detachment doesn't require us to abandon these things, but to experience them without letting them possess us. We don't need to push away love, success, or material things. But when we stop clutching them, we can enjoy them in their full beauty without fear of losing them. It's about seeing the rose for what it is, a beautiful thing to admire, but not something that will define our worth. Detachment allows us to let go of the need for control, the need to possess, the need to ensure every outcome is perfect. When we stop grasping, life begins to flow through us naturally. The key to peace is not in clinging to the world, but in releasing the attachment that binds us to it. When we stop gripping life so tightly, it flows freely, unforced, and alive. Our relationships, our goals, and our possessions, when held lightly, become sources of joy, not stress. We learn to embrace them without fear of loss. We cherish them, but we don't suffocate them with our need to control. We give them space to exist as they are, and we exist with them in peace. Detachment is the art of living fully without suffering. It's about recognizing when something no longer serves us and choosing to release it. It's not about rejecting what we love. It's about giving ourselves permission to experience life without the weight of attachment. When you let go of what no longer serves you, you create space for peace, the peace of knowing that you are enough, with or without the things you once clung to. Imagine a life where you no longer feel the need to control every outcome, to plan every moment, or to chase every validation. Imagine a life where you allow things to come and go, where you can love deeply without the fear of loss. Detachment is the key to that freedom. When we stop holding on so tightly, we allow the beauty of life to flow through us unimpeded. We no longer fear the change that comes with letting go, because we know that in releasing, we are opening ourselves to greater peace, clarity, and growth. So let go. Release your grip, hold your rose gently, and watch how it continues to bloom without the pain of clenching. Let go of the things that no longer serve you, and make space for the life that is waiting to unfold. 5. Stop seeking approval. How much of your life have you spent chasing the approval of others? How much energy have you poured into being liked, admired, or validated? We live in a world that rewards conformity, where fitting in is often celebrated and standing out can feel risky. So we adjust ourselves, our words, our actions, our appearance, just to be accepted, just to gain approval. But here's the truth. The more you chase external validation, the more you lose touch with who you truly are. The irony is that the more we seek approval, the further we move away from our authentic selves. We start to define our worth based on how others see us. We shape ourselves not by what feels true to us, but by what feels acceptable to others. We think that validation from the outside will bring us peace, but in reality, it keeps us stuck in a cycle of performance, constantly trying to be what others want us to be. The harder we chase approval, the more we lose our own voice. True freedom comes, not when you seek approval from others, but when you approve of yourself. It's in the quiet moments when you stop measuring your worth by the world's standards, and start embracing your own. When you no longer need external validation to feel whole, that's when you experience true liberation. Let me share the story of a young woman who spent years trying to mold herself into the perfect version that society expected. She dressed a certain way, spoke a certain way, and did all the things that the world told her would make her successful. But despite all her efforts, there was a constant emptiness. She was constantly performing, constantly adjusting to fit into a mold that didn't truly represent who she was. One day, as she looked into the mirror, something clicked. She realized that in her pursuit of fitting in, she had lost herself. She had spent years living someone else's life. That day, she made a choice. She decided to stop seeking approval from the world. She decided to stop performing for others and began to live for herself. And for the first time, she felt truly free. Not because she had achieved what others expected of her, but because she had finally stopped pretending. She embraced who she truly was, and in doing so, she unlocked the peace that had eluded her for so long. This story speaks to the heart of living authentically. In Buddhism, we learn that the most important approval is the approval you give yourself. The key to peace, the key to freedom, is not in constantly seeking validation from others, but in accepting yourself just as you are. When you stop performing for others, you reclaim your power. You stop relying on the opinions of others to feel worthy, and you start finding your worth within. To live authentically is to be true to yourself, to speak your truth, not because it's popular, but because it resonates with who you really are. Stop seeking approval from the outside world and turn inward. Ask yourself, what do I truly want? What feels true to me? When you stop living for others' expectations, you start living for your own. This shift may feel uncomfortable at first. We've spent so long seeking approval that it can feel strange to stop. But the moment you realize that your worth is not up for negotiation, you begin to find peace in simply being yourself. You no longer have to change who you are to fit someone else's narrative. You step into your own story, unburdened by the need to be anything other than what you already are. True peace comes when you stop seeking external validation and start living authentically. This doesn't mean rejecting relationships or success. It means redefining what success means to you, independent of society's definitions. When you stop living for others and start living for yourself, you align with your true purpose. You stop performing for applause and start living for the quiet satisfaction of knowing you are true to yourself. Imagine how much lighter you would feel if you stopped seeking approval from the world. What if you stopped measuring your worth by how many people like your posts, or how many compliments you receive, or how often you meet others' expectations? Instead, what if you started measuring your worth by how aligned your life is with your authentic self? Seek approval from within. When you make peace with who you are, you no longer need the validation of others. You become your own source of approval. So I ask you, how much of your life have you spent performing for others? When you choose to live for yourself, without the need for approval, you'll find that your true self begins to shine through. And in that authenticity, you'll find the peace and freedom you've always sought. As we've journeyed together through these teachings, we've seen how Buddhism offers us a profound roadmap to find inner peace. It's not a quick fix, but rather a way of life, one that encourages us to let go of what no longer serves us, to release the need for control, and to unplug from the noise of societal expectations. By embracing detachment, we unlock the emotional freedom that has always been within us, waiting to be discovered. The more we align ourselves with our true essence, the less we are disturbed by the chaos outside. The opinions of others, the unpredictable currents of life, and the constant pressure to achieve external success lose their power over us. Instead, We recognize that we are the stillness behind the storm, the calm center amidst the whirlwind. Life may continue to swirl around us, but when we live in alignment with our authentic selves, nothing can shake the peace we hold inside. Remember this: let go, live authentically, and trust the flow of life. In those moments when the world seems overwhelming, when the path ahead isn't clear, simply surrender to the flow. Trust that the universe is unfolding as it should, and that in the space between letting go and trusting, you will discover the peace that's always been there, patiently waiting for you to tap into it. True peace isn't something to be earned, chased, or controlled. It's found in the surrender. It's found in embracing yourself fully, accepting each moment, and trusting that you are exactly where you need to be. The more you step into this truth, the more you'll experience the freedom and stillness that comes from living authentically. If this message resonates with you, I invite you to join us on this journey at Mindful Glow. Let's continue exploring, growing, and uncovering the wisdom that leads us back to our truest selves. By subscribing, you take the first step toward aligning with your authentic path and living a life of peace and fulfillment. The freedom you seek is already within you. Let's embrace it together.